Good morning, everybody. It's 11 o'clock, so let's make a start. Thank you very much for joining me. And we are going to be going through 13 time-saving features of which you can use to turbocharge your business. I'm really looking forward to this presentation. My name's Jonathan, and I've been at BigChange now for over 7 years, doing a variety of roles, starting off in road crew, then moving on to onboarding, before product management, where I stayed for a few years, and now I'm in the product marketing side, which I absolutely love. The features that I'm going to be talking you through today are some of my favorite features. And yeah, if you don't know about these, you certainly will be telling your colleagues about them at the end of today, because you're going to save a huge amount of time by using some of these. If you're not a member of the BigChange family, you might be asking yourself who we are as a company. If you're not part of us, huge welcome. Very briefly, we are a job management software platform that makes your business unstoppable. For a single monthly fee, we provide you with a mobile application, job scheduling functionality, tracking, business intelligence, invoicing capability, and a full CRM suite, plus many, many more features. Our system grows each month with the releases, and you get all of that for a single monthly fee. You don't just have to take our word for it. We've got over 2,000 customers across Europe, Americas, and Asia Pacific, and some of those are on screen now. So today's agenda is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to show you 13 features that will turbocharge your business and make using BigChange even more effectively than you probably are doing. By the end of today, you'll hopefully have learned something, and you'll wonder what you will do with all of that extra time. We have loads to cover today. I am on my own, but if you have any questions, do drop them into the question box, and I will do my very best to answer them. Towards the end of the presentation, there are some QR codes, so you might want to keep your phone handy, and you can take some pictures of the slides and scan one of the QR codes to get some additional resources. As I mentioned earlier, questions, if you have them, drop them into the question box, of which there is probably one floating around at the top in Microsoft Teams, and I will do my best to answer them. So the format of today, I'm going to go through various different problems that you may have, and then show you the feature which can be used to solve them. So some of the common problems that you might be facing whilst using our system or other systems are seeing lots of data, but then needing to apply filters. You might have to apply those filters time and time again, and you might make mistakes when adding those filters. Setting up those filters is time consuming and can be complicated. So one of the features that we have, which is used an awful lot internally, but could be used by our customers more, is the favorite views. What is the favorite view? So here we have on our screen a list view. This applies on various different aspects of the system, but we have a list view, and we've applied some filters. In this particular example, I'm looking at all of the jobs that have been scheduled for this week, but I've not yet confirmed them. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to ring up those customers or email them to confirm those jobs. You might see, or you might have noticed, there is a button at the bottom left-hand side of the screen called Save Current Viewer's Favorite, and that is absolutely amazing. When you press that button, you're presented with a screen, very simple screen, of which there are a few options, and we're going to go through some of those options. The first one is the name. You can provide a name, and you can call it whatever you want. Give it something that's descriptive. Next, you've got the option of visibility, who you want to make it visible for. Is it just something that I'm going to be using, or is it something that everybody in our organization is going to be using? If it's the latter, choose for everyone. Then we want to add some dates to it, and this is where the magic happens. So what we've got on screen, we have the title. I'm going to save this filter view for everyone, but the dates is where I've changed something. I want this to be for the current week and all of the jobs on this week. So I've selected current week's Monday. I want this to run all the way up until the end of the week. So the option is current week's Monday plus, and then we've got 6 days. And then we've got those date ranges will apply each time we run that filter. We don't have to create one every single week. We can simply reuse the favorite view that we've got. Once it's been saved, you'll notice a little icon at the top, a little link icon, and that is really, really important. When we click on it, it will give you a URL. Now that URL won't appear on the screen, you'll get a little message instead, and you can copy that, that'll be copied to your clipboard, and you can save that as a bookmark within your web browser. That means whenever you click on that bookmark, you don't even have to log into BigChange, assuming you've got an active session, but it will load that view anywhere on the screen. It will take you to that view. Here you can see, I don't want to use it as a bookmark. I can get to it from any screen on BigChange. That little gold star icon is available on every single screen. And when I click on that, I can select my favorite view. The ones that are in bold are across the entire organization, and they can be used by anyone. The ones that aren't in bold are personal views, and you can create as many of those as you want. As I mentioned, when you click on that, it takes you to the favorite view from anywhere in BigChange. Favorite views can be created across the system, but there's something that's special that happens with notes. And when you create a global favorite view for notes, you have the ability of defining who the user or the owner or creator is, because that could be either a specific person or the logged in user. So one of the most common workflows that people use is to show me the notes that are in my name that are due today. So what we could do is we could say, this is a current view, it's for everybody, but the owner is the person who is logged in, and the due date is the current day. That means regardless of who uses that filter, the owner will be set to them, and the date will be set to today. So really, really useful feature, and highly, highly recommend using it. The next feature that we're going to be looking at is very similar to the favorite view. And in fact, the icon for that is right next to it. So if you look closely at the screen, you would have been able to see that. And the common problems that you might face is that you just want to open something that you closed. You might have closed it by accident, or you want to revisit an item from a few moments ago. Perhaps a customer has recalled or called you back, and you want to have another look at the job. So the feature that we've got is recent items. And again, really, really simple. Right next to the favorite view, you have a little clock, and under it, I think it says history or recent. Click on that, and you will be able to select from the drop down one of the recent items that you've got. Exceptionally powerful if you close your browser window by accident and you want to get back to what you were doing. Moving on to the third feature, and we are going through some of these at pace. The more simple ones we will go through quicker than the others. But this is a personal favorite of mine, and this is looking at the notes feature. If you aren't using notes in BigChange, why not? It's a great way of ensuring that all information is saved accurately, and more importantly, is in a central location so that everyone has access to it. All they need to access it is a web browser. But what we're going to be looking at here is attachments on notes. A lot of people are attaching documents to notes, and there might be hundreds of attachments against a specific note. And you might want a colleague to look at a specific document, or you might be referring them to a specific document, and you want them to be able to find that easily. So what we have now is the function number 3, and that is tagging attachments. On screen here is an example of a query that has been raised, and I'm speaking to my colleague Jack about it. I've just received an updated contract, which I want him to review. So I've attached that attachment, navigated to the attachments tab, and I've uploaded it by dragging it onto that area of the screen. I want to make Jack's life easier. I don't want him to have to navigate through all of the attachments to find the right one. If there are hundreds of attachments, he could spend quite a bit of time filtering them down, and he might not pick the right one. So I want to make his life easier. In the dialog comment, I can type out a note, but the important thing here is to press the hash key. When I press the hash key, I am presented with a list of attachments that are against the note, and I can continue typing if I wanted to refine that selection. But when I've made my selection, I get the file name in itself in kind of a little gold color. I can continue typing my dialog comment, and when I press add, Jack will get an email notification to say that he's been tagged in a comment. Where the magic happens is that when we go and look at that note, and then we hover over that gold icon or the gold text and click on it, it will open that file straight away. Jack doesn't need to go to the attachments tab. He doesn't need to search for an attachment. He simply needs to click on that text, and he will be displayed. He will see that file in action. No searching, no scrolling, no filtering. One click is all it takes, and he will get the right attachment. So really, really powerful, huge time saver. Well worth having a look at that, especially if you use Notes. If you aren't using Notes, and incidentally you want more information on how to get the most out of that, reach out to your customer success rep, and they will be more than happy to guide you through some of that. Moving on to the next one. Now, bit of backstory on this. We have been doing a lot of work internally with some of our new starters and seeing what they know about the system. And this is one of the features that I saw probably about 6 years ago now. And very few people actually know about it. And it's a huge shame. When you send out emails to your customers to say that the resource engineer driver is on their way, wouldn't you like it for your customer to track them just like they can on Uber or Deliveroo? Well, we actually had this functionality before Uber or Deliveroo even came out. And you can do this so easily. There's very little setup involved. It's secure tracking. And don't worry about anything like them being able to see the resource after the job's been completed. This is only triggered when the resource says they're on the way to a job. So we have tracking links and templates. This is absolutely brilliant. So firstly, we're going to begin by creating a template. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail about templates here, but this is an example that you might use. We've got some keywords, including the name of the person who this email is going to. We've got the job type, and we've also got a live estimation of their arrival time. So that's taking into account tracking conditions, travel conditions where they currently are. And we're going to add a new keyword here. This is where the magic happens. When we click on the keywords, we want tracking link. By inserting this keyword, as long as the resource has a tracker, a link will be inserted to the template and allow the customer to see where the resource is. Now, behind the scenes, we use the booking site. But for those that know the booking site, you don't need to create a login for it. And like I said, you don't need to worry about them being able to see the location after the job's been completed or before. It only will work when they're on their way to the job. And I'll show you how we get to that. So when I select tracking link, we are given the option of inserting some text. I'm just going to insert click here. You can add some other text that you want. And we get that keyword inserted, easy peasy. Now, we need to set a usage. I'm going to set this as an email, and we're going to be triggering that email to go out by using an alert. And this is where I said it will only work when the resource says they're on the way to a job. So on screen is the alert. Now, I should have mentioned this at the start. Don't worry if you're in the process of taking notes. All of the slides and recording will be available afterwards, so you'll be able to play these back to your heart's content. But just absorb what I'm saying now, and if you like something, make a note of the number, and you'll be able to return to it. So we've got the alert on screen. In this case, I'm just going to say any job, and has its status changed to on the way. The dynamic recipient, I'm going to say, is the contact email address, but I could add the secondary persons if I wanted to. And then I make my selection down here of the template that I created earlier. And it's as simple as that, really. Flipping over to the customer's screen, when Harry is on his way to a job, the alert gets triggered. And at the bottom of the screen, they get the message to see where they are. Click here. This is exactly what we configured in our template earlier. When they click on that, they are taken to the booking site, and that includes a live map, and that will show them where the resource is and where the job is due to take place. Really, really powerful piece of functionality. Really, really useful. Customers can see exactly where you are and when you're on the way, so they know to be around. So really, really useful feature. Highly, highly recommend that you try and use it. Doesn't cost any extra at all. Next one, number 5. This is around looking at the map. For some of you, you will have looked at the map and you might want to create some territories. Set up sales regions. They might be postcode specific. You might want to see whether a customer sits within the ULEZ or other chargeable zones. But it can be quite time consuming to create territories. So we're going to look at territories in a bit more detail. Again, one of my favorite bits of functionality within the BigChange system. We're going to talk about importing territories. So we're on our map. And if you've not used territories before, very, very simple to get to. Click on the little eye, and under the territory section, you have a map section as well. Sorry, manage section. Click on that, and you are presented with 2 options. Now, manually creating them can be useful, but in the vast majority of times, you're going to want to import them. But let's quickly cover creating a territory manually. When I click on Create, I am given some tools in the top center of the screen, and that allows me to create circles, rectangles, and polygons. But the problem here is that it doesn't allow a high degree of accuracy. If we wanted to create a territory just for a city or for a chargeable zone such as the ULEZ, it's going to be very time consuming. So what we actually want to do is we want to import one. Now this is much, much quicker. So I'm going to click on Import. And we have the option to select territories in the UK. So that's what I'm going to select. And we're presented with 3 options. I'm going to talk through 2 of them. And the first one that I'm going to talk through is the 2-digit postcode. 4-digit postcode works in the same way. But let's say we're going to create a territory for Leeds. So Leeds, general Leeds, going to select a 2-digit postcode. The postcode for Leeds is LS. So I type in LS into the box, and the minute I select that, Leeds, all of the postcode to do with Leeds is highlighted for me. If I want to, once I've clicked OK, I can select the territory and I can edit it, and I can change the color if I wanted to. So this is yellow color, and you can have different colors to pick different things. Change it if we want to. There's a handful of colors there, but I just went with yellow. The next option that we're going to do is create a territory for the ULEZ. Again, we have selected import, but we've selected the miscellaneous option now, and we've got a wide variety of things that we can pick from. One of them is the London ULEZ, but we've got charges for all over the country, and you simply select the one that you want. When you've made your selection, it shows up on the map, just like the postcode did, and then you can simply click on import. And in this case here, I've changed the color and I've made it red. So very, very easy to do. Once we've got all of our territories set up, we can overlay different elements on the map as well. So once our territories are selected, we can add contacts, we can add vehicles, we can add jobs, we can add stock, we can add pretty much anything we want onto that view as well. So we've got territories segmenting the UK in a way that makes sense, and we can then overlay all of the information that we have at the same time with minimal effort. We're also going to continue with our template, with our territories theme, and this is what we're going to look at in terms of what about those chargeable zones? We might want to be notified when a vehicle or resource goes into one of those chargeable zones to make sure that we pay them so that we don't receive a fine. We might have a standard area of which that vehicle operates in. And so if a vehicle leaves that area, we want to get notified because it's most likely not going to be working. Something might have happened with that particular vehicle. So we're now going to be looking at territory alerts. Like I said, perfect for chargeable zones, making sure you pay them rather than receive a fine. So we've gone into our alerts. Alerts are shown on screen. And this is one that I have configured for us. So we'll just talk through the options. This is for when any resource, doesn't matter which one, we can filter it down to specific resources groups or an individual resource. The next option is drives. We want to know when they drive. Inside a territory, and I picked out the territory that I created earlier. And then the next two options down are the when and time. Now, obviously, we've set this to any day and any time. However, if the chargeable zone only operates part of the week, you can set the options in there to only trigger the alert when the chargeable zone is in effect. The dynamic recipients, I've selected two here. The first one that I selected is the resource itself. They may well be responsible for the payment of entering into the chargeable zone, but I've also selected the manager of the resource as well. If I wanted to enter in a fixed email address, perhaps it's a fleet manager or someone in finance, I could, if I wanted to, simply type in that email address as well. I also have other options to send a text and also pop up a message on screen in the BigChange system as well. But email usually works best for that type of thing. If I wanted to create bespoke text, this would be where I make my selection. But in reality, it's just an alert. It's something that's internal. So I'm going to be keeping it quite basic. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Those alerts will start to trigger whenever the resource drives in that chargeable zone, and you'll be able to make your way over to the website and pay rather than receive a fine. Next one. This is for customers that are using Notes again. We use Notes at BigChange. We absolutely love them. And it's coming up to more bank holidays. It would seem we've had loads of bank holidays in May, and it's coming up to holiday season. So one of the things that we don't generally want to do is come back from a well-deserved break and find that you've been tagged in hundreds of notes and then have to deal with them. Alternatively, you might not know when someone is on annual leave, so you'll tag them in a note, something that's important, and expect a response. But of course, they're on annual leave. So we want to be able to solve that. And with more bank holidays coming up, like I said, there is never more perfect time than now to suggest that you roll out the use of this out-of-office functionality. Saves tagging someone in a note who is on annual leave. So how do we do that? Really, really simple. Every user has the option to select My Account, My Settings. They might not see the administration one if they're not a full administrator, but My Account, My Settings is the place that you need to go. Halfway down the page, we have a section called Out of Office. Now, I've made that bigger on screen. You simply put in the message which you want. Include an emoji. Everything in life is better with an emoji, in my opinion. But the start and end time when you go on leave and when you return, and that is all that you need to do. The system automatically will add the out of office when the start date comes up, and it will automatically turn it off when the start date or the end date is over. You can tell when it's active. If you log into BigChange whilst you're on holiday, you'll be able to see an orange bar at the top, and you will be able to see the ability to return quickly to turn it off. And for anyone who tries to tag you in a note whilst you're away, they will get the orange bar on screen showing the message that you have entered, and that kind of gives them a warning that you're on leave and not to expect an instant reply. So really, really useful functionality. And it allows people to make you aware that you're away and won't respond instantly. Another piece of amazing functionality, and this is around the schedule. So, like I said, if you're new to BigChange or you're not a BigChange customer, main reason people join us is for our job scheduling capability. It's world class. Absolutely amazing. And one of the pieces of functionality that we offered is what I'm about to show you now. So we have the ability of showing different job types, and different categories. But you might want to have a look at the schedule, and you might want to see different types of work that you're doing at a glance. You've got the concept of flags, but flags don't really solve this problem for you, because the flag is perhaps denoting a stage of which the job is at. But you want to be able to look at the schedule instantly and see different types of work. And for that, we have job type colors. Absolutely brilliant for our customers that love it. And I'm going to show you this here. Really easy to set up. To give you an example, I have the schedule in front of me. And I want to be able to instantly see which jobs are installation jobs and which jobs are service. And a lot of people think there isn't a way of doing this. Well, there is. In administration, you have to be an administrator on this. So you'd go to My Account Administration. You'd find your job type settings. And in this case, I've selected the bathroom installation. And one of the features that we have added, or we added a while back now, is this color option. Often overlooked, but really, really powerful. That kind of does what it says on the tin. When you click on it, you have a range of colors that you want to select. I think I selected yellow again for this. And once I've selected that, that's it. Save the job type. Now, when I return to the schedule, it can look like nothing has changed. And you'd be forgiven in thinking, oh, well, it's not done anything. It must be broken. But there is a setting that needs to be changed. Under here, we have various different job colors. The first one that is selected is the status, and all of those boxes are different shades of grey because they've either been scheduled or sent to the device. We have the option of flags. Again, if we haven't assigned flags, they'll all stay the same color. But the third option is the job type color. When I select that, you'll be able to see instantly that the jobs, the installation jobs, are in yellow and the service jobs are in pink. Yes, you can save this as part of a favorite view. So the first thing that I showed you, if you really, really enjoy the favorite view, anything you save on here, the colors will be part of that. The reason why this one up here is still in gray is because I've not added a job type color to it. So really, really powerful piece of functionality. You can instantly see which types of jobs are being taken place. Like I see, a lot more yellow on screen, but the pink ones are service. If I needed to make some adjustments on that, I can do so by seeing the type of work that's available. Moving swiftly on, we are looking at another common problem which customers face, and that's not having a central location for some documents. Everyone has saved local copies of it, so they don't know which is the latest version, and they might want to keep some documents or some articles secure. They might know they've got it somewhere, but they don't know where they've put it. So the next one we are looking at is the Knowledgebase. And this is probably one of my favorite features and most underutilized feature. Saves hours each week, personally, for searching for documents and sending them on to colleagues. So really, really powerful piece of functionality. The reason why people might not see it is because when you go to CRM, it's right at the bottom, so you'd be forgiven for not seeing it. Now, on screen are a selection of articles that you could use, but I'm going to create a new one as an example. So I click on the new article button, and in this particular example, Fast Repair is going through our onboarding journey with our excellent onboarding team. This article is something that everyone at Fast Repair can refer to. If they're not too sure what BigChange is, I've included some text on what BigChange is. I've included a link to their homepage and a link to the login as well. But most importantly, I've added the contact details for support and the person who is responsible for managing the onboarding process internally. This is in a central location. If I wanted to add additional formatting, I could do. I can add videos, I can add images, I can add tables, I can make the content as rich as I want. And that is all in a central location. Once I've created the article, I can say who can view it. Now, in this case, it's a general onboarding document. So I'm going to select all of the different roles that you can see on screen. However, if it's a process that only relates to a specific team or department, so for argument's sake, the way in which we invoice customers, you could change that so that only that team is able to see them. And there you have it. We have a beautiful article which is in one location. It only needs to be kept up to date once, and everyone has the latest information. Moving on now, we have common problems. We have want information to be attached to notes for jobs, but for record keeping. We want to capture information from customers. We might want to implement feedback surveys, but we don't want to do that all the time. And for that, we have third-party worksheets and workflows. Really, really powerful tool. For those that aren't a member of BigChange, very briefly, worksheets and workflows are a bank of questions that you can use on a job or on a note. And those questions can be in various different types. They can be yes, no, they could be a list, they could be picture, they could be scanning barcodes, variety of different types. What I'm going to show you today is implementing a workflow on the back of a note, but the same thing happens if you wanted to ask a survey on the back of a job. So first we need to create our bank of questions, our workflow. So my account administration, and we're going to create our note workflow. Now the important thing here is the bit that I've highlighted on screen, and that is the completion time for the back office and booking site. We don't want the back office here to actually complete any of these questions. This is a questionnaire that's going to go to our customers. So we're going to select NA. You'd do the same if it was a worksheet as well. You wouldn't want the back office to add any questions. You'd select NA. We do want people to complete it via the booking site, but we only want them to complete this workflow after the note's been completed. We only want to ask them feedback once the note has been completed. So we're going to say here that they complete it after the note has been completed. Just with the tracking link, you don't need to worry about creating a login. People will get a link and they'll be able to fill in that really, really simply without any login information needed. So after note completion is what I select. On screen here, I've given some very basic examples of a type of questionnaire that I might be asking customers. Again, I can use all of the different parts of functionality within the workflow, and that includes conditional branching. Conditional branching is really useful because I only really want to ask customers what we can do better if, in this case, they wouldn't recommend us to others. So I've set that up by using conditional branching. So we've got our worksheet, we've got our bank of questions. We now need to create our template. Just like we did earlier, we've created a template and we're going to use a new keyword, and this is the workflow link keyword. Click that, and just as before, you can select the text, and in Blue Peter fashion, here's a template that I made earlier. Keywords can include the subject of the note, the reference, the name to make it a bit more personal, and I have a beautiful template that includes all of the information that I need. I need to apply a usage. In that case, it's going to be for a note. If I wanted to have different templates for different note types, I can do, but I'm just going to apply this to all of our note types. So to recap, we've got our bank of questions, we've got our template, but what we haven't done is we haven't associated our bank of questions with the note type. At the moment, the two are independent of each other. I want to link them. So we head over to our note type, and we've got various different options that we can choose. The first thing that I need to do is I need to add the worksheet or the workflow that I created to that note type, so that when people create a new note of this type, that bank of questions automatically gets added against it. The other settings that I might want to change, I might want to stop people from taking that workflow out, and that's that option here. You don't have to do all of the steps beforehand, but if you've got a bank of questions and you want to make sure people don't remove those workflows, that's the option there. We simply change that option to no that we've got on screen. The other options that we've got down here is the when a note is completed, we've got no action, option to email, and automatically email. Now, for this example, and until you are 100% confident that things are working the way that you'd like, I would suggest that when the note is completed, you give the option to email. Once things have been working for a while, you can then change that over to automatically email. But for now, we're going to leave it with the option to email. I'm going to flick over to our note. We've got a note here, of which was another inquiry. And when I change it, when I go into the workflow settings, you'll see right at the top, I have my customer feedback workflow. I've got the other workflows down here, which were already added. If I try and edit the workflow at the top, I can't. So we can't have people in the back office answering the questions on behalf of the customer, and they can't do that because of the settings we made earlier. So they would get that message on screen. When I move on to complete the notes, because we have the option to email, I am presented with that template now. If it automatically emailed out, you wouldn't get this option and the email would go out automatically, but I've got the option. So I'm now going to press send. And again, we're moving over to Harry's computer. He gets an email. Beautiful template that is set out. And again, we have the option to click here to answer the questions. Harry clicks on that, and again, we are taken to the booking site. No login is needed. The booking site is responsive, it's accessible, fully accessible, and it's customizable, but we will use the general booking site details here. And we've got our workflow question presented to us. All the customer has to do is go through the questions. If they're mandatory, they won't be able to submit it without populating them. But when they have answered all of the questions and press submit, they will get a confirmation to say that the answers have been submitted. Where do we see that information? Well, that information, like I said, is saved against the note. If I go back to the notes, you'll see that the answers are populated on screen. But what can we do with that information? As with vast majority of our system, we can export information out of our system. So very, very quickly, I exported some very dummy looking data into Excel. I created a quick pivot chart, and we can now instantly analyze our response rates. Very, very quickly, very, very powerful. It allows us to get data from our customers and use that for actionable points of business. So hugely powerful tool. Like I said, you can use this both on notes when a note is completed and when you do it on jobs as well. The templates are almost identical. You would simply include a worksheet link, third-party worksheet link, and you send that email out either with a job card or based on an alert, depending on how you set that up. Next thing, again, really, really powerful feature. And this is about keeping you up to date with what events are coming up from BigChange. You might want to provide feedback to us. You might want to know what's recently been released, or you might want to do all of those things. And for that, we have the Success Center. Now, this was launched earlier in this year, and its primary purpose, in fact, its sole purpose, is to make our customers successful in using BigChange. I absolutely love this. It's accessed in the bottom right of the screen, and you can get to it anywhere. We've often been asked, can I turn this off? And the answer is no. There's a huge amount of important information. It's very subtly placed in the bottom right-hand corner. So if you don't want to look into it, you don't have to. But we don't want you to miss out on any of the information that's displayed. Occasionally, there's a little number in the bottom right-hand corner, and that means you've an unread message. We'll come back to that in a minute. But for now, we're going to have a look at the Success Center. There are several modules in the Success Center, and you can pick from them when you click on it. The first module is taking you to the help site. Loads of amazing resources on that. Highly, highly recommend you check that out. How-to guides, links to videos, really, really powerful resource. When you click on the Help Center, it should, as said on screen, automatically open that into a new tab. But if for whatever reason it doesn't, simply click on the button. The next section is the release notes. We do roughly one software release, which includes features each month. And then there are other releases for any fixes that are required. But we usually keep at least one set of release notes in the Success Center. If you want to have a look at all of the release notes, they're available online at releasenotes.bigchange.com. But you can easily see, in this case, the 2303 release, what was new, what's changed, and there will be a link at the bottom to the full set of release notes. We also have events. So it's likely, if you're on this call, that you will have seen the event for today. But there are other events that are coming up as well. Lots of different exhibitions that we're going to. We try and target these based on the sector that you're in. So if it's likely you'll attend one of those trade shows or be interested in attending one of those trade shows, we will include you in that notification. We're not going to be sending out invitations to building maintenance trade shows if you're a haulage company, for example. We'll try and target those where possible. We love getting feedback, and one of the best ways that we can get that is by the new module that we added, which is question of the week. Every week there is a new question, and this really helps us on key areas that we might want to develop, or gives us an insight into your way of working. So in the past, we've asked about fuel cards, how you use AI. This week, we're asking you about the feature that you love the most. It might be something that you've seen on today's webinar. They are really, really quick questions. They take less than 30 seconds to answer, and they help us. You don't have to populate it. You can completely ignore it if you want, but it's just a great way of us getting more information. It's something that you can take time out if you want to do it, but you don't have to. It's entirely optional. As with everything on the Success Center, you can dip in if you want to, or you can move on to something else. The next one is around reporting. There is a huge amount of data in BigChange, lots of data, and you may often be asked by your customers to send that information onto them. You might have a report that has been built specifically for your needs, or you might have one of the general ones that fulfill your purpose. And every week or every month, your customer might require that you send this to them. It might be something that you do manually, or a colleague might do this, but you're going on, or they're going on annual leave, and you want to automate it. So for that, we have scheduled reporting. Really, really powerful bit of information. Example we have on screen. This is a jobs report. Now I've just filtered it down for the jobs for Darlington International. You'll see that we also have the option of favoriting this view. So if you want to quickly access this report with the parameters on screen, you can do. But I'm going to view this report, and in this case, Darlington International want a copy of this every single month for the previous month's worth of jobs. I don't want to have to remember to do this. I want the system to do it for me automatically. So under the schedule option, I'm going to click create from the left-hand side, and that is going to present on screen a set of options. Now, the first option that I have is the time, the frequency or the recurrence, and then the day of the month. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to send this monthly, and I'm going to send it on the 1st of the month. The period underneath is the amount or the duration that was previously set on the screen. I'm going to say the previous month's worth of jobs. I can select on the screen, as you can see here, different formats. I'm going to include PDF, but I could, if I wanted to, send it as Excel. The email address of who I'm going to send it to. And again, I've got options of either using plain text or a template. If I wanted to include my footer, some images, rich text, I could use a template, but I'm just going to create a basic email now for demonstration purposes. We can change that text underneath if we're not using a template, and we can define where that email comes from. The next two options are how we actually attach the report itself. There's two options. We have the option of attaching a file to the email, but the option that we actually recommend using more often than not is the link. Now, the reason why we recommend using the link is because some of the reports, particularly those which have job cards in, can be quite large because they have a lot of pictures. And so the email will bounce back. That's not a fault of BigChange. It's not a fault of you. It's because emails generally get bounced back if they're over a certain size or they contain attachments over a certain size. So what we recommend in that case is you include the link. And just to be on the safe side, include the link, and that way you know that the file or the email is never going to get bounced back. Finally, the option underneath, we have the ability to either send this report continually, so from now up until whenever we cancel it, or we can define 2 dates. So let's say you'd normally do something like this manually, and you want to just trial it out. You can say, start from today, do it for a month or two, and then stop. So I have that option on screen. When I click schedule, that's it. It's scheduled. And the system will generate it at the frequency shown. If you want to see the schedule and perhaps change it, you can do so by going to the Reports tab, looking at the report, and then click on the option that's shown on the screen. When you've selected that, it will show you all of the things that have been scheduled, and you can make changes to that if you want. If you're an administrator and you want to see across all of your BigChange system which reports are scheduled because you want to make some changes, or you want to update anything, as an administrator, you can go to My Account, Administration. Under the Accounts tab, you've got the Scheduled Reports option. And from there, you can see all of the reports that have been scheduled, including additional information such as which users set them up to schedule. So far, we've gone through 12 features that are going to save you a huge amount of time. And this is number 13. This is one for our resources, engineers, drivers. If any of you are on the call, huge welcome. If they're not on the call, you may well want to send them a message in the system and tell them about this, because this is going to save them a huge amount of time. There may well be a lot of signature questions on your worksheets. They may well grumble and say, well, we don't want to have to sign every single time we see this, but you don't want to remove them, or you can't remove them from compliance reasons. So how can you get a signature from them without them having to manually sign it each time? And for that, we have something called Save Signature. Within a matter of clicks, you can save them seconds each job that over the course of a week will add up. So on a tablet, we have a worksheet, and in this case, I've just mocked up an example of a RAMS document, and we have to get them to print their name and sign. Now, very simple task, but if we've got various different points at which the resource needs to sign, that can quickly add up, especially if they've got to type their name in and they've got a relatively long name. That will get time-consuming very quickly. So where do they go? They go to the settings section of the app. They then navigate to the miscellaneous tab, and if they scroll down ever so slightly, they will see a bit or a section called signature. They simply put their signature in and press save. When they press save, they get a little green box to say that their signature has been saved, and that's all that they need to do. Once they've done that, whenever there is a signature question, now they have the option of using the saved signature button. Creatively, when they press that, the signature which they saved in the earlier steps is inserted, and the resource's name is inserted as well at the same time. All they have to do is tick and move forward, and it's as simple as that. Saves a huge amount of time. It doesn't insert the signature on the job result. The reason why it doesn't do that is because the job result screen is where the customer would sign. But any signature-based question, provided they have saved their signature, they will have the button underneath giving them that option. So 13 features which are absolutely amazing. And if you were to use half of them, you would save a huge amount of time. However, don't go just yet, because I've got a little bonus for you. Now, little bit of backstory on this. I was at the Customer Roadshow last week at the Etihad, and we were talking about some of the scheduling functionality. And I just mentioned this feature to them in passing. I thought it was common. A lot of people knew about it, but they were absolutely blown away. I wish I could remember the name of the customer. If it's you and you're on this call, drop me a message, or just raise a question and say it was me. But they were absolutely blown away. And so I wanted to include this as part of a bonus. So what are the problems? The problem could be that you're talking to a colleague about something in BigChange. It could be a job. It could be a financial document. It could be a note. And you want them to take a look at it for you. You want to quickly share that with them. Yes, you could copy down the reference and they could then look in the search anything box, or they could go to that section and type in lots of different filters and all of that. But there's a much, much quicker way of doing that. And that is the copy a link to item. Really, really amazing feature of this. You might have noticed this. In fact, I actually showed this earlier in today's presentation, and that's a little link. That little link is so powerful. It's pretty much on every single item that we have in BigChange. So I'm talking jobs, I'm talking notes, financial documents, knowledge base articles, favorite views, stock items, so much more. That little link is there. When you click on that little link, you get a message to say the link's being copied to the clipboard. So now that we've got that link, what do we do with it? Well, in this case, I'm talking to Harry about a job, and I want him to take a look at that. So I just drop that link into Teams. Harry gets that message, and he clicks on the link. Provided he's got an active session, the BigChange opens, and the job appears on screen. There's no searching, there's no losing where you are. It'll open on a new tab. It's as simple as that. That could work with notes, financial documents, knowledge base articles, favorite views, contacts, stock, and everything else. It saves a huge amount of time. That link can be included not just in Teams messages, but if you use Slack, it could be included in emails. They only have to have a BigChange account and have an active session, and it opens straight away. It's as simple as that. So there you have it. 13 time-saving features that can supercharge your use of BigChange, and a bonus. If you're not a member of BigChange, you might be thinking, well, what's the cost of these? No, they're all included as part of the BigChange monthly subscription. And if you're a BigChange customer, all of those features are live. In fact, a lot of them have been live for quite a while now, so you can start using them. Take a look at some of those features and see how much time you can save. So if you are wanting to get a copy of the slides, the recording, or indeed have a look at some of the other resources that are available, we have the BigChange University. The BigChange University is a fantastic resource. It can provide training not just for you, but any new starters that you might have within your company. Again, no charge for this. It's part of the monthly fee that you pay us. If you want to sign up to the BigChange University, you can head to bcu.bigchange.com, click on the new user icon at the bottom, and it will ask you for a password. The password is BC University 5. That's BC University, all lowercase, number 5. Brilliant resource, and I highly recommend looking at that. There are other webinars on the BCU that we've done before. Getting to grips with business intelligence. We are rolling out dashboards as we speak. If you are wanting to know how those dashboards can really give you an insight as to the data and the progress that you're making, check out that webinar. Green saving features. Everyone is wanting to do well by our planet, and the route optimizer is one of the best ways that you can do that. Customers stand to save, on average, £10,000 a year plus by using the route optimizer. So it's not just good for the environment, it's also good for your pocket as well. We also did a webinar on how to schedule like a pro. So today we've covered a lot of time-saving features, but we did a feature-length webinar on scheduling. Do check that out, and that is available on the BigChange University. In addition to the BigChange University, we have the help site, and if you want to check out the help site, there's the QR code for that, and also for the specific schedule articles. I talked about question of the week. Do check out question of the week. It's available from the Success Center. I don't know what the question of the week next week's going to be, but some of my colleagues in product promised me one, so it will be almost certainly related to product. The BigChange community newsletter, if you want to take a look at that, please scan the QR code, take a read, some really, really powerful information on there that you can use, including some information on the release notes. Finally, before I have a look at any questions, I would love your feedback on this session. If you enjoyed it, please do scan the QR code on screen. All of the questions on that feedback form are optional. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what we can improve upon. But please scan that QR code and let me know any feedback at all. I do have a couple of questions. Craig has asked, this has blown me away with this feature. So helpful in our business right now. Thanks for this. Craig, I don't know which feature it was, but you are more than welcome. I hope you can make use of all of those features. The next question was, can you do the same in the schedule for complete and financially complete? Have a color, view easily. So the complete jobs will be green if they are completed positively, and then the completed negatively results have a red color. In terms of whether the jobs are financially complete, I don't know if they have an outline. That's a really good question, Craig. I will take that away with me. We will take all of these questions, provide the answers alongside these on the BigChange University. So I will do my best to find the answer out for that. If that's not something that we currently offer, I will pass it on to our product manager for the job finance and make them aware of that suggestion. Sherry asked, territories, can you add more than one postcode area per territory? That's a really great question. The answer is no, but you can do something slightly differently. And I didn't actually show this, but you can create a territory group. A territory group is as simple as it sounds. It is a group of territories. So you could create a group, and then you could simply apply each of those territories, those different postcodes that you want, into the same group. You can create alerts when things go into a group of territories or out of a group of territories as well. So once you've created a group, it kind of acts like a single territory, if that makes sense. So yes and no is the answer to that. Sherry asked, how do I create a territory group? Okay, so fast repair. Hopefully you've seen this. If I go to my account, administration, where did we put territory groups? We put them somewhere. Contacts and notes is probably the best bit. Here we go, territory groups. So we could call this demo group. So now we've got our demo group. If I go back to our map, territories, manage, click on this, click on edit, we can now apply it to a group. And there we go. We have our territory in our group. Simple as that. Okay, thank you very much for taking the time, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's webinar, and thank you very much, and we will speak to you soon.